Hello and welcome back, Squirrel Nation. Today we're diving into some community submitted gameplay footage submitted by David, a silver ranked player. In this footage, the three main topics are going to be proper usage of Yebnith's passive, managing your cooldowns and not spamming abilities, and the final is not tower diving. Having said that, let's dive in. So you're about to see Arthur's going to come in and steal this Vision Seagull. That's just because David misses his S1. Those type of micro things will come with just practice, so I wouldn't worry too much about them. It was a good intention to get the Spirit Sentinel, and execution will come with practice. So in here you can see David spamming his skills, his S1 he spams, and it makes him go into tower range with his Redwood Rush, and unfortunately take some tower damage. Anyways, on to our first topic is you notice right now David's about to run into a bush. If you look where my mouse cursor is on the screen, you're going to see an icon come up right when he enters the bush, right there. So this icon indicates that Yebnith has triggered his passive regeneration, which gives him health and mana regen. So the reason I'm highlighting this in this video is I can tell that David is not making full use of Yebnith's passive throughout the game, and I think it's because the mechanics can be a bit tricky. So things to keep in mind is as soon as you step in a bush, the passive will automatically trigger. You do not need to stay in the bush for the entire 5 seconds. You just simply need to run in the bush, run out of the bush, as you are about to see, run out, and you notice that the passive icon right here is still chugging along, regenning his health and his mana. Another thing is you're going to notice he runs into the next bush after it wears off, and it doesn't re-trigger. That's because there is a built-in 10-second delay after the passive finishes. So when you start the passive, 5 seconds of regen, assuming you don't enter combat, and then 10 seconds after that, you can trigger the passive again. Another tricky thing about that is that if you're in a bush when the cooldown expires, you actually have to exit the bush and walk back into the bush for the passive to reactivate. So you can't just sit in a bush. Keep that in mind. So right here, same thing, good wave clear. That's good management of his abilities, and he also triggers the passive. Great. The passive does drop because he engages with Arthur. In that case, that chip damage was maybe not worth him regenning, but he also was almost at full health. But mana is also a very important resource, so there I may not have chipped Arthur, but that's a very minor detail. I love that he's going for Spirit Sentinel. That's great. I think in general, David's macro, his ideas of how to go and farm gold are very good for his rank, and I see no problem with that, and that's why I'm focusing on other things for this video. So anyways, he secures that. If you can notice, he's spamming the attack minion. I totally am fine with that. One thing to keep in mind when you're taking objectives, make sure you have enough mana and your cooldowns are ready on your skills, because enemies will try to come in and steal them, and you want to make sure you have enough burst to safely secure objectives. So anyways, this sequence you can see is pretty good. David's trying to get on the backside of Arthur to use his knockback to push him into the tower. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite get the angle and the aim. In the future, David, I would recommend that you pre-aim the ability. So what I mean by that is you would actually pre-aim your S1 back and just be holding it, and then when you get in position with Arthur in between you and your tower, then just simply release it and get that knockback, instead of trying to swipe and hit that combo, which is a lot harder. So anyways, Cricknack's going to come in, great wave clear, does well on his ultimate. Once again, David's doing pretty good. I think he's doing well about these things. He even goes in case they need a tower dive, he takes it for Cricknack. I think that's a great idea. Also, just to secure the kill, he's making use of the passive. That's great. So anyways, from this point on, we are switching into the tower diving. Okay, so the next couple clips are about instances of where David tower dives, and it's just not a good idea. So here you see he has minions. He's doing tower damage. Great. You can also notice another minion wave is just about to come up. But see, the minion dies, and he just keeps kind of chugging away and realizing late. So in this case, it's kind of an unintentional dive, but I would encourage David in the future to pay attention to when minions die. When that circle turns red, it means it's targeting on you. As soon as it targets on you, run away. And honestly, you should see the minion that's about to die, and you should be running out right before that minion dies, because it's just not worth taking the tower damage. And in this game, when there's no minions, the towers and the core take a lot less damage. So it changes by the tier, but essentially it goes from 60 at the first tier all the way to 80% at the core if there's no minions. So in this game, if there's no minions at the tower, don't try to kill them. It's just not going to go well. There are exceptions, but don't worry about them. So in this case, this is just poor positioning, and this is another form of tower diving. So he's coming in, David is trying to hit all of his skills, which I like, and if you notice, he got Arthur and Liliana, and he's going to land his combo on him. The problem is their team has heavy CC abilities. They have Val, they have Liliana, and they basically just chain CC him underneath the tower, and he dies. Notice it turns red because he hit them, and then bam, CC'd, and he's just dead. Next thing. Here's another. This is not the same, so this is the next and final clip of tower diving. Once again, Yevnith and Yorn, they just killed the enemy team. If you notice, there's only the Wukong left. The Wukong does try to kill them, but gets killed. But still here, this is another example of I would really tell David, in this game, in Arena of Valor, it's not like other MOBAs. It's not worth it to tank a tower when there is no minions there. There are exceptions, but I wouldn't worry about that until you're much higher rank, and yeah. So anyways, if you notice there, he dies and barely does any damage. The examples are going to be more about spamming your abilities. So if you notice here, and I am going to pause. So he hits his ult, great. If you notice, his dash is up, okay? What you're going to see happen is David is going to spam his S1. So he's just going to click, 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 click. So when he does that, what is going to be targeted is the lowest amount health, and he's going to actually, which is the minions and not Wukong. So David is actually going to charge into these minions and into tower aggro instead of charging into Wukong. And if you keep watching this fight, it ends up that David barely loses the fight. So you notice he took 2 tower shots, right? And Wukong just barely kills him. So if David would have actually not spammed his S1, and he's about to do the same thing here, if he would have not spammed the S1, and he would have aimed it, pre-aimed it, right? Or he would have just kind of calmed down a little bit and aimed it, then he wouldn't have got into the tower range, and he probably would have lived, and he probably would have got the kill. Here, same thing. He's going to end up targeting the lowest health person, which is towards the tower, so David ends up charging into the tower and basically just dying from there. Interestingly, if David would have been able to charge this way and then ulted, he would have zoned the enemy greatly. His team probably would have killed Liliana and then cleaned up some other kills, and he probably would have lived. So in both these cases, I think they were great examples of where spamming your abilities can really cost you. It's much better to be calm, aim your ability. Sometimes it won't be quick enough, but when you spam your ability, you're really rolling the dice, and you're not, you can't really guarantee what's going to happen. So it's just a really bad practice. It's kind of, when it does work out from you spamming, it's luck. It's not something that's skill-based that you can count on. So it's just a bad habit. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe in the below. And please let me know how you guys like the new format. Do you like the fact that I made clips? I made the points more quick and direct instead of watching the full video. And also, I've been trying to shorten the videos, keep them around 10-minute range. So let me know what you guys think about that. Anyways, as always, have an outstanding day and happy ranking. Take care, and I'll see you all tomorrow.